In today's lesson, we are going to be looking at adding and subtracting polynomials. So this is going to be very similar to what we were doing in the collecting like terms lesson, although it's going to be slightly different. There's going to be one additional kind of change to what we're doing, and we'll take a look at some of those examples. So a polynomial is an algebraic expression consisting of one or more terms connected by addition or subtraction. So if we have one or more terms, which we defined yesterday or in our previous lesson as being a product of a coefficient and or variable, well, a polynomial is an algebraic expression consisting of one or more terms connected by addition or subtraction. So all those expressions that we looked at yesterday in that collecting like terms lesson, those could individually, or those in itself, could be considered polynomials because there's multiple terms. So the rule when we're adding polynomials is that when we add polynomials, we simply drop the brackets and collect like terms. So again, when you're like, what do you mean? What brackets are we talking about? And we'll see the brackets in the examples, and we'll look at kind of a shortened or a visual example here to maybe help us a little bit. So imagine you're out trick-or-treating for Halloween, and you have the bag on the left, your friend has the bag on the right. You want to combine your bags to see how much you have together, right? You're going to share all that you got. Well, imagine the bag as being a bracket and inside, or a set of brackets, and inside each item is considered a variable, right? You could use T for Twix, A for apple, N for nerds, and so on. So if I wanted to write an expression for the first bag, I would say that this bag has 3 Twix plus 2 nerds plus 1 apple, or just A. In the second bag, we have 3 apples plus 3 nerds plus 2 Twix. You may say like, whoa, why did you write them in a different order? When we're adding the items, it doesn't really matter what order we put them in, right? Because they still exist there. They're still positive in this example. So it doesn't really matter what order we put it in when we're adding. Well, if I want to combine the bags, I just need to add up each one or combine them, right? So brackets don't really mean anything when I'm adding. Because if I have 3 Twix plus 2 Twix, I'm going to end up with 5 Twix. 2 nerds plus 3 nerds is 5 nerds. And 1 apple plus 3 apples is 4 apples. So together, you and your friend have 5T plus 5N plus 4A, or 5 Twix, 5 nerds, and 5 apples. Let's look at an example as with an actual expression. So 4x plus 3 is a polynomial, and we're adding that to 7x plus 2. That is also a polynomial, right? So if we want to identify them, say polynomial 1, and this one is considered polynomial 2. So this is just an example of what we mean by adding polynomials. So we have the brackets to separate them, to recognize that they're two different kind of groups. So adding polynomials is very easy. We remove the brackets first. So 4x plus 3 plus 7x plus 2. So I'm removing the brackets and rewriting it exactly as we see it. Next, we identify the like terms. So this goes back to the previous lesson. We identify our like terms. We have 4x. Or I guess I can rewrite it because we do have the second line. So let me rewrite this just to make it kind of pair up. So if we have 4x plus 3 plus 7x plus 2, we collect our like terms. So the 4x is a like term to the 7x, and the 3 is a like term to the 2. Again, keeping in mind to include the sign in front, because that will tell us what we need to do. Next, I need to collect the like terms. So I'm just going to add or subtract our like terms together. So 4x and 7x is 11x, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So I've added my polynomials together, and I've gotten a simplified expression of 11x plus 5. And that's adding polynomials. So let's look at some examples without those steps. We'll look first at 5x or 3y plus 5 added to 7y minus 4. So because I'm adding polynomials, we can see that here. Our first step is just to drop the brackets. 3y plus 5 plus 7y minus 4. Now, in the same line, I can identify my like terms. So the terms that have the same variable and exponent. So 3y plus 7y minus 4 and plus 5. Collect those like terms. 3y and 7y is 10y. 5 and minus 4 is plus 1. And again, I'll highlight just to show where all of this comes from, or where it came from. And that's my polynomials added together. If we look at B, we still have two polynomials because it's multiple terms separated by brackets, and in the brackets they're separated by addition and subtraction. So I have two polynomials with 3 terms in each. Same rules apply. I'm going to drop my brackets because I'm adding them together. So I have 5x minus 4y minus 1. Now here it might be a little tricky because you could say plus minus 2x, but remember we do have rules when we're dealing with double signs. If I'm adding a negative, that's the same thing as saying minus. Or you could do is you can just forget that plus is there and then just rewrite everything as you see it. So minus 2x, and it's plus 5y plus 13. Again, now go through, find your like terms. 5x and minus 2x. Again, look at the sign in front. Make sure you include it. Minus 4y plus 5y minus 1 and plus 13. Now I can go through and collect those like terms. So 5x minus 2x is 3x, minus 4y plus 5y is plus 1y, and minus 1 plus 13 is plus 12. So that is my collected like terms. Again, I'm just highlighting here to show you where they came from. So that is adding polynomials together. So very straightforward. It's probably one of the easiest ones. Subtracting polynomials, on the other hand, here, when we subtract polynomials, we must switch the signs of the terms in the polynomial being subtracted, which will technically be the second polynomial. So we have to switch the signs. So what do we mean by that? Why do we have to switch signs? What are we talking about here? Well, let's go back to our our Halloween bag example. So we still have 2 bags. Let's assume we're taking the contents of the first bag and subtracting the contents of the second bag, right? For whatever reason. Say there's a tax and we have to get rid of this amount, or we have to remove this amount from our bags. Well, let's come up with an expression for the first part, right? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 Cokes, so 4C, plus 3 Kit Kats, plus 1 O. Henry, so I'm going to say 1H. I don't want to use O, might get confused with 0. And I'm subtracting on the other bag, I have 1 Coke, plus 1 O. Henry, plus 3 Kit Kat. If this was adding, I would just add all these up, right? And I have plus in front, so that tells me I'm adding. However, because I'm subtracting all of the items in the bag from the first bag, I need to change these signs when I'm collecting like terms, because if I were to rewrite this, it might look as if I'm adding. But we know because we're subtracting the items, we're not adding. In the end, we end up with 3 Cokes, and that's it. Because the O. Henrys are gone, and the Kit Kats are gone. So I end up with 3C. So let's look at the steps of what we're going through when we're subtracting polynomials, because there is one added difference. That added difference is this step 1, where we change the signs of the terms in the second bracket to remove that subtraction. And I have a typo here because it just has a plus. But we know that it's not a plus in our example because we're dealing with a minus. So 3y plus 5 minus 7y minus 4. So I'm minusing everything in that second bracket. So what I need to do is I need to change all the signs in the second bracket. So we have 3y plus 5 still. I'm going to change the signs in the second bracket. So a plus 7 becomes a negative 7y, and a negative 4 or minus 4 becomes plus 4. By doing that, that removes the subtraction and makes the middle, I'll make it a little different color, it makes it addition now. So by removing the subtraction, I've made it an addition. And I've removed the subtraction by changing the signs. Actually, let me do those in a different color as well. By changing the signs in the second bracket. Now that I've changed the signs and it's no longer subtraction between them, it's addition, I can follow the rules for adding, which means we just drop the brackets. So 3y plus 5 minus 7y plus 4. I drop the brackets, rewrite it as I see it. Now I collect like terms or identify them, so I'm going to rewrite my terms. I'm going to highlight the like terms. So 3y minus 7y and 5 plus 4. 3y minus 7y is negative 4y. 5 plus 4 is positive 9. So this is the simplified polynomial, or basically when I've subtracted the two polynomials, this is my answer. So again, there was just the one added first step where we have to change the signs. And it's to ensure that we're subtracting everything in that second polynomial from the first one. Because if I just drop the brackets, I'd just be subtracting the first term and I wouldn't really account for the second one. So I want to make sure that I'm subtracting every term in the second bracket. So let's go through some examples. So 4x plus 3 minus 7x plus 2. So when I go through 4x plus 3 minus 7x plus 2, I have to change the signs in the second bracket. So the first bracket is going to stay the same, 4x plus 3. In the second bracket, I'm going to change the signs. I'll keep it color-coded. So it becomes negative 7x, oops. Negative 7x, so it's only the minus that's changing. And then minus 2, so it goes from addition to subtraction. And by doing that, it's now addition between the two polynomials. Now that it's addition, I can drop my brackets. So 4x plus 3 plus negative 7x, double signs, addition and subtraction. Adding a negative is the same as saying subtraction, and then minus 2. Now I'm going to collect like terms. 4x and minus 7x. They have the same variable, same exponent. Remember to include the sign in front. Then we have plus 3 and minus 2. So 4x minus 7x is negative 3x. Plus 3 minus 2 is minus 1. And I have collected my like terms. I've simplified it as much as I can. All that's remaining are two terms that are unlike, so there's nothing else that I need to do. I can't simplify it any further. Let's try another example. Same idea, except we have 3 terms in the bracket rather than 2, but the same rules apply. I see that I have a minus, so I'm going to leave the first bracket. It's 3x plus y minus 4z. In order to get rid of that minus, in the second bracket, I need to change the signs. So instead of a positive 7, it becomes a negative 7x. Instead of plus 3y, it becomes minus 3y. And instead of minus 2z, it becomes plus 2z. And again, the reason being, if I subtract a positive, that's the same thing as saying subtraction. If I subtract a negative, that's the same thing as saying addition. Because I've changed the signs in the bracket, the operation now becomes addition between them. I can drop my brackets now, 3x plus y minus 4z plus negative 7x plus a negative is the same thing as saying minus 3y plus 2z. We can go through now and look for our like terms. Look for the variables that are the same with the same exponent. So 3x minus 7x, again make sure to include the sign in front. Y and minus 3y minus 4z and plus 2z. When I collect my like terms, 3x minus 7x is minus 4x, y minus 3y is minus 2y, minus 4z plus 2z is minus 2z. And so this is my simplified polynomial in the end. This is my answer. If we look, we can see that there are no pairs of like terms. All the terms are considered unlike when compared to each other. So there's nothing else I can do to simplify this. So again, the biggest thing when we're adding and subtracting polynomials is just understanding the rules. When we're adding polynomials, we drop the brackets and collect like terms. When we're subtracting polynomials, change the sign in the second, change the signs on the terms in the second bracket, change the overall operation to addition, and go through and follow the addition steps. If you're unsure about collecting like terms, please make sure you review the previous lesson just so that you're familiar with that, because you do have to collect like terms when you're adding and subtracting polynomials.